Good morning, this is Rav Shlomo Furst here at Yeshiva Tsama Nafshi. We are located in Yerushalayim Kodesh, Rehov Zikron Yaakov number 6, in the Beit Knesset of Harechi Yeshiva. It's not too far from the central bus station, so you're welcome to join us. We're learning Pirkei Avos here, first year in the morning, usually about 9 o'clock in the morning. And we are learning the first parak, the fourth Mishnah. We'll maybe just review the first mimer of the Mishnah, and then we'll go into the Maharal Meprag's explanation of a certain point in the Mishnah. Yeah, but if you turn on to the phone, let's review the Mishnah. Just read the first mimer of the fourth Mishnah there.
Okay. Yosef ben Yoezer ish Tzoreda, Yosef ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim kablu mehem. Yosef ben Yoezer Omer, Yehi beitecha beit vad hachachamim, v'havu mitavek ba'afar ragleihem, v'haveh shoteh betzama et divreihem.
So actually three things. He says, beis checham vad hachamim, that's number one. V'havim misavek ba'afar ragleihem. And Shosu Tsama es Divreihem. Three things. So we'll be discussing the actual three things as time goes on, probably next week. And now if we'll turn the page over to the Derek Chaim. Once again, we can start from we're explaining about the Zugos here. Let's start from again the beginning there. Derek Chaim Ma'al. That's the Maharal Meprag.
Derech Chaim al Avot Parak Aleph Lekach Antigonos Shava LeHazahir Ha'adam al Ha'ahavav al Ha'yira Rui Shalo Yia Zug Imo. Continue?
Yeah, because the Maharal previously wrote here Kavar Pershanu. We already explained Lama Lo Yehe Gam Kain Zug im Antigonus. Why wasn't there a Zug, another pair with Antigonus? Right? Kamo Haya Zug Mikan Ve'ela. There's always going to be pairs from now on. So the question is, why wasn't Antigonus listed along with the pair? Good morning, Israel. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you. Okay, so now I put in brackets. This is the explanation that the Maharal Meprag mentioned that he already explained. So this is the explanation of this. The basic question is again, why is the Mishnah listing Antigonus Isoicho all by himself, whereas from Antigonus onward we will always have pairs of Rachamim listed together in dual names. So why didn't Antigonus have a pair partner along with him? Right, so that's going to be the explanation as given over here.
Aval hazugot sheba'u achareihem, echad min hazug haya ba lahazir al ma'aseh sheyesh bo ahava bilvad, v'asheni al ma'aseh sheyesh bo yira bilvad, kamo she'yitba'er, v'tamid echad haya mizahir al ma'aseh al shel ahava, השני על מעשה שיש בו היראה, בפירוש זה נכון ועוד יתבאר.
So again, the basic question was, why didn't Antigonus have a partner? So the answer was that Antigonus came to give and made statements about Ava and on Yira. However, all the Zugos that are going to follow, one gives a singular statement about Ava, and the partner will give a singular statement about Yira, right? And that's going to be the way it's going to be all the way through. So that's going to be a very important tool of analysis for us to try and apply throughout the whole, at least this first parak where the Zugos are mentioned, like which is the Maisa of Yira, which is Maisa of Ava. I mean, it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for us to understand different applications of our avoda to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, whether we're serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu from Yira or we're serving a Kadosh Baruch Hu from Ava. We need to do both, right? As Antigonus himself said, let's just review what did Antigonus himself say. Now we can refer back to the Mishnaya. Siddur. No, it's now you'll take a Siddur over there, page 391. And it says there, Antigonus ish sochor, kibel mishimon hatzadik. You can go ahead and read that.
Antigonus ish sochor, kibel mishimon hatzadik. Hu haya omer al tiyu ka'avadim mishamashin et harav al menat l'kabel paras, ela havu ka'avadim mishamshin et harav shelo al menat l'kabel paras. Vehi mora shemayim aleichem.
So according to the Maharam of Prague, right, this statement of Antigonus has a dual facets, one of Yira, a facet of Yira, and a facet of Ava. So how do you want to? Well, I guess it's more or less pretty obvious which is the Yira and which is the Ava. I mean that the Yira is probably obvious. More Shemayim Aleichem, that's obviously clearly referring to Yira. So yes, by default, you have to say that the previous statement, the first statement, is that of Ava. So that we should be, right, Avodim,Amishamshin Esarav Shalol Amanav's called the pras, for not a reward. So that's I think very clearly understood. That's an element of Ava. That's a facet of Ava. When you serve somebody not to get a reward, you're doing it l'shmaya. You're doing it for the sake of your desire for the relationship with in this case, with the master, or in the case of the general, our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. You're doing it for the desire of the relationship between us and the Kadosh Baruch Hu. The desire of a relationship is an aspect of Ava. It's not an aspect of Yira. And that we see many cases of this. The classic example is on Rosh Hashanah. We say after the tekiyas of the shofar, we say imka avadim imka banim. If we're like servants, we should be judged like servants, and if we're like banim, we should be judged like sons. Sons are obviously on the Mitzvos Hashan goes into this in great detail that a son is interested in fulfilling the words of his father and pleasing his father from Ava, not from necessary Yira, right? But his servant is interested in just not getting a punishment. He's just trying to keep the master happy so he shouldn't get angry at him, right? So that's from Yira. Well, you have those two aspects. And as we go through the first parak here, we're trying to apply this as a rule of analysis for all the following statements by the Chachamim that will be following throughout the whole parak. So now that was the answer to the question why there was no partner with Antigonus. However, now the question that the Maharam is going to clarify for us is why was it necessary that the Zugos had to come into play? Why was there a necessity for Zugos? Mm-hmm. Why couldn't there be a singular transmission from one generation to the next singularly rather than through the use of Zugos, pairs?
Okay.
Go ahead.
From Ki Eitzel?
Yes.
Ki Eitzel kol hamikablim shezachar hayu shnehem Yosef ben Yoezer ish Tzoreda Yosef ben Yochanan ish Yerushalayim v'kein hazugot ha'acherim ve'ein lamar klal sheharei devar zeh mikara b'mikara.
Oh, so it says Ki Eitzel kol hamikablim. All those who were makabel, all those who received the tradition that are mentioned, that are always going to be in twos. That's beginning from Yosef ben Eliezer, Yisrael, and Yosef ben Yochanan, Yerushalayim, and also all the Zugas Akrim, all the Zugas that come after them. Don't think this was a happenstance. This is something which is without a cause and effect. There's not a reason for this. There is a reason for this. Yes. What is that? Ki v'zeh.
And Eitzel means at the side of it?
In association or a relationship, right? Ki etzel or with. Ki etzel, call a makabling, with all of them. With all of these makabling, with all those that receive the tradition, shezochor, that was Hayu Shnayim, that were mentioned in twos, right? That is Yossi ben Eliezer, Yisrael, and Yossi ben Yochanan, Shushalayim, and all the Zugos Achareim, all the Zugos following after him, right? Don't say this is mikra. Don't say that there's a without reason for this.
I see. And mikra means like reason.
Mikra means that mikra means without without reason, or
Kuf Resh like means to occur or to happen.
Right. So ein lo meklal she'ed davar b'mikra. Don't it just occurred. Don't say that it's just occurred.
Oh yeah, okay. Like almost like a random occurrence.
Right.
It's not random.
Exactly right. Don't say this is random. Exactly. Mikra is there's no arrangement, no fixed procession here. There's no specific reason for it. Mikra is it just happened to happen.
Okay. וזה כי כאשר הייתה הקבלה באה מזה לזה ממשה ליהושע ומיהושע לזקנים ותמיד לא היו מקבלים אחרונים במדרגה כמו הראשונים.
Okay, let's stop here and think about this. Okay. What meaning? Why is it not b'mikra? Why is it not by chance? Why wasn't it random? Meaning the fact that there are zugos and the fact that we're taught about the zugos, right? There's a reason for this. What is that? V'zeh ki, that is. V'zeh ki dasher haisa hakabola ba mezeh lezeh. That this was that the transmission came from zeh lezeh, from this one to the next. Min Moshe. Yeshua, from Moshe Rabbeinu to Yeshua, Yeshua and Zekanim. Okay, V'tami lo hayu mekablim achronim b'medrega keharishonim. And always, Tami, but always, the receptors afterwards were not on the same level as the predecessors. That's always that's what we call basically Yeridas Adoras. It's always that way. The receptor from the previous generation was always never on the same level as the ones transmitting it to them.
How long are we going to go until Shechem?
It goes on and on, that's right. That's
what?
This thing keeps going, doesn't stop.
What's
going to be Kol Oretz Deah? There's going to be a whole different situation, Kol Oretz Deah. Maybe then at that point, maybe it'll be stopped. Good question. Let's live to see it. We'll find out.
So we're going to reach such a low level?
Well, I don't know if we're going to have to reach such a low level, but it doesn't say how low the levels fall, but they just don't exist on the same level as previously.
That means we're weaker than ever.
Well, it's all kinds of aspects, yeah. All different kinds of aspects. Wisdom, and physical strength as well. Yeah. Maybe in the previous generations they didn't need trucks and cars and all these things. Their lives went pretty well with all these things.
We're pretty spoiled.
Well, yeah, okay. For sure.
Could I ask one question
Sure.
on the concept of Yeridas Adoros?
Okay.
So I've heard of that before, and I've also heard of a concept that almost says the opposite of that.
Okay.
That the reason why we listen to contemporary poskim and that sort of thing is because they know all the Torah of the previous generations, and so it seems like a paradox to me that,
Very good.
on one hand there's this concept of we know less than everyone who came before us, but on the other hand we know our poskim know. Their authorities derive from the fact that they know all the Torah of previous generations.
Right. Okay. So basically, that's a very good question. Basically, what Yaakov was asking is like this: we have the concept of Yeridas Adoros, meaning from Moshe Rabbeinu onward, downward. You could even go back to Avram Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu, Yaakov Avinu, to Moshe Rabbeinu. But it's enough that we start from our Sinai. That was the apex of the giving of the Torah, right? So Moshe Rabbeinu and his generation, the Dor, they received the Torah directly, right? So as each generation is farther and farther from Sinai, our relationship to that actual event is further and further removed. Okay, so that itself, because we're farther removed in time from that actual event, that also is a a weakness, meaning just as, for example, an analogy, the closer you are to the sun, a planet is closer to the sun, it's much warmer. The further it is out, farther from the sun, it's necessarily cooler because in its relationship to the sun. So there's a certain influence of Har Sinai as an event, spiritual event, that affects the neshamas of all people in Klal Yisrael, right? And the farther we are in time from that event, that affects some type of strength of the neshama itself. That's one point. Now, that's affected also by the amount of potential chokhmah, wisdom, perhaps Yerushalayim, and all the aspects of avoda that any particular Jew may be able to hope to reach in his particular generation. Meaning, those potentials in general, speaking in generalities, those potentials are necessarily lower, right? Because there's a further distance from the actual event of Har Sinai. Okay? As we said, that affects all aspects of avoda, Torah, and mitzvahs of Klal Yisrael, from each generation to the next. Now, as you well pointed out, the halacha is halacha kibasroi. Meaning, when we are setting out to decide halacha, right, the halacha is in general based upon the klal halacha kibasroi. The halacha will go according to the latter authority.
Basroi?
Basroi, like Basra. This Basra is like the latest, the most recent Basra. There's we have Baba Kama, Baba Metzia, and Baba Basra.
The first.
Yeah, the Baba Kama is the first gate, Baba Metzia is the middle gate, and Baba Basra is the last gate. The last gate. Right, the last gate.
And then Basroi?
So Basroi, right? Those who came last.
So Roy is just like a national pronunciation of Basra.
Well, I think it's spelled a little bit. I think it's a Reish Yud. I think it could be a Reish Yud if I'm not mistaken.
And then a Kamat Ketzad like that.
Could be. I think could be. The exact spelling, I'm not sure. You could find out though if necessary.
Okay.
So this is a rule in halacha, psak halacha. Now, which seems to violate the concept that if the early generations knew much more, right, then how can we apparently go not like the earlier generations? So that is, this rule is limited because, for example, a Rishon, right, can't argue on a Tana. Can't argue on a Tana, right? Meaning if a Tana had said something, right, for example, there's a halacha after sunset. When does the new day begin? So there's such a time as Bein HaShmashos. We call twilight in English, right? So there's this an opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that, if I'm not mistaken, Bein HaShmashos begins from sunset and continues on till Tzeitzei Kachavim, from the time of the sun setting until the time of the stars coming out. Right? Now that's Bein HaShmashos. That is Suffolk Yom, Suffolk Laila. We don't, it's twilight. We don't know if it's day, we don't know if it's night. Many halachas are dependent upon this. For example, if a person has to do a bris milah, right? And it has to be the 8th day. Right? So let's say any day of the week. Let's say today is the 7th day from the birth of the child. And now, so tonight at sunset, right, it'll be a question, right, until at least 3 stars come out. 3 Beinoni, that's a technical point, but we won't go into that right now. Until the stars come out, from sunset until the time the stars come out, it's going to be a question whether it's still the 7th day, whether it's still or now the 8th day. Let's say Mochi Yom Kippur, right? You want to break your fast, right? So after sunset, right? So according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's no longer definitely Yom Kippur, but it's not definitely Motzi Yom Kippur. You have a time period, 45 minutes, whatever it might be, right? That it's still perhaps Yom Kippur. It's maybe perhaps not Yom Kippur. Same with Motzi Shabbos. Is it sunset? Is it now still Shabbos, or perhaps it's Motzi Shabbos? So Rabbi Yehuda says Bein HaShmashos begins at sunset. Okay. Now, That's what Rabbi Yehuda said. So a Rishon who lived, say, 800 years later, can't come and say something which is going to contradict that, right? But if there's going to be other opinions in the Gemara that argue with Rabbi Yehuda, right? What a Rishon can do, right, with proofs or whatever the ways he's going to decide the law, right? He can choose not to paskin, right, like Rabbi Yehuda, right? He can paskin like other opinions, right? So in choosing from the opinions that were previous, right, the latter day authorities have the right, right, to choose what the halacha is going to be, and the halacha will be like basroi. Meaning, so if like a Rishon, let's say the Rambam, right, came in paskin not like Rabbi Yehuda, right? So then the halacha will be not like Rabbi Yehuda according to the Rambam. There might be maklok shushonim, and then once you have a maklok shushonim, then you'll have it could be when we learn Mishnah Berurah, right? There might be times that I'll try and be sensitive to this. Maybe to illustrate these things as it comes up when we learn in the Mishnah Berurah. But this is something which it's the beginning of a conversation. It's a whole broad topic, and the application of this concept of Yeridus Adoros to the other concept of Halakha Basroi, as you said, because the Basroi had all the information available to them.
Right.
Right. So in deciding what the halacha is going to be, right. So they, because they had the information available to them, they will be, what we say, kovei the halacha. They will establish the halacha. Right. So we'll try and work with that, and maybe I can prepare a separate shir or two on the whole subject. Give me some time to prepare, but it's something which is worthwhile understanding.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess that's actually the time for me to. Let's see. We just get started. So let me just go. We'll go a few more minutes, perhaps. Right. So okay. Right. So that was the concept of Yeridus Adoros. So that was the ach. However,
אין ראוי לבא הקבלה מן אנשי הכנסת הגדולה על הזוגוס מפני שהם רחוקים זה מזה. כי זוגות בעבור שהם זוג לא הייתה הקבלה ביד אחד מהם רק שניהם יחד.
Oh, so the Kabbalah from the Anshe Knesset couldn't have been given to the Zugos because there was a time period that elapsed between the Anshe Knesset Gedola and the time of the Zugos, because the Zugos, right, they were necessary that both of them, right, should have the reception of the Kabbalah, not that it should be the Kabbalah given over to one person. Right, so it couldn't have been given directly from the Anshe Knesset Gedola to the Zugos because it needed to be the Kabbalah from the Anshe Knesset Gedola given over to a singular person, not to a pair. He's going to explain a little bit more. Reina Doima.
ואין הדומה לזקנים ונביאים, אף כי הם היו רבים, הייתה הקבלה אצל כל אחד ואחד מהם. So it's not like the elders and the Navim, because there were many of them, and they received it each one by one.
Yeah, because that when the Zugos are not like the Zakanim and the Navim, right? Even though Haim Arabim, even though there were many Navim and many Zakanim. Right? And the Haisa Kabbalah Etzel Kol Echad Be'echad Mehem, meaning even though there were many, and the complete Kabbalah was going individually to each and every one of them, right? The Zugos are not like that. The Zugos are not. The Zugos represent. That's what the whole point of the morale is. That coming to teach us. The Zugos represent a change in the transmission, meaning the fact that it was transmitted now to pairs instead of to singular individuals is telling us that previous to that, the whole Kabbalah, the whole transmission was, then the whole tradition was transmitted to individuals entirely, completely to each individual. However, when it came to Zugos, it was not that way. The whole Kabbalah was now not given over, the whole tradition was not given over to exclusively individuals. It had to be given completely, the whole Kabbalah, the whole tradition had to be given over to two. But both of them together didn't have the whole Kabbalah. Together, both of them had the whole Kabbalah, the whole transmission, the whole tradition. Previous to them, individuals had the whole tradition transmitted to them. Okay, so maybe that's a good point to stop. We're going to reinforce this next time.